Hey there. I'm genuinely thankful you're here watching this. It really means a lot. If you decide to subscribe, know that it'd mean even more. Truly. Let's get into it. My name is Ryan Miller. What I'm about to reveal isn't a tale crafted for views or melodrama. It's the unfiltered truth, a reflection of how love can unravel, not from war or miles apart, but from hidden truths, quiet betrayals, and one reckless weekend that changed everything. It all started on an oppressively hot Tuesday in July. The heat felt suffocating, clinging to everything. I had just returned from inspecting a project site for the modest contracting business I ran. Worn out, drenched in sweat, mentally spent, but grinning, because I was finally home, and she was there. Lauren, my wife of 2 unforgettable years, stood barefoot in our kitchen, her hair tied up in a messy bun, laughter in her voice as she stirred a pot and chatted on the phone. There was always something quietly beautiful about scenes like that, unfiltered, genuine. We weren't perfect, but we had found our rhythm, our own quiet harmony. Mornings started with coffee for 2. She worked from home as a remote interior design consultant. I went out to oversee construction sites. Evenings were slow, filled with soft jazz, meals cooked side by side, and whatever series we were binging at the time. We talked about tomorrow like it was ours. We had dreams, and she was pregnant with our first child, 7 weeks along. We'd found out just 2 weeks before that scorching Tuesday. Her hands shook the day she told me. "Ryan," she said gently, holding out the pregnancy test like it was a sacred object. I hugged her so tightly she laughed and gasped for air. We danced right there in the kitchen, barefoot and teary-eyed with joy. We had made a life. Now I often wonder, was that the last time she was truly mine? Things began to subtly shift the very next week. Her younger sister, Vanessa, was throwing a wild bachelorette party in Scottsdale, 3 days of non-stop festivities. Vanessa was Lauren's opposite in every way. Flashy, chaotic, always performing for the camera, constantly chasing the spotlight. I never felt at ease with the people she surrounded herself with. There was always drama hanging around them like cologne. Fights, breakups, chaos. It followed them. When Lauren mentioned the trip, I tried to keep my cool, to be reasonable. "Are you sure this is the right move? I mean, you're pregnant now. Maybe skip this one?" I asked gently. She stiffened. "It's her only bachelorette, Ryan, I promised her. I'm not drinking, not hitting the clubs. It's just brunches, massages, chill stuff. You know me." And I thought I did. I truly did. Or at least I wanted to believe I did. But alcohol had always been a soft spot for her. Back when we were dating, even a single drink could bring out someone I barely recognized. We'd had heavy talks about it, fights, apologies. On our wedding day, she swore off drinking for good. I believed her. The night before her flight, I helped her close up her suitcase. She wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "I'll miss you. It's just 3 days. I swear I'll be the boring one." I kissed her, smiled. "Promise me you'll actually be boring." At the airport, I watched her disappear into the crowd, waving one last time. I didn't realize then. That was the last moment I'd feel calm. The red flags didn't shout, they whispered. She came back late Sunday night. Her smile was in place. Her hug felt warm, but something beneath it was off. She talked nonstop in the car, the spa, the hotel, Vanessa's emotional toasts. But it all sounded rehearsed, like a script she'd memorized too carefully. Days passed and she grew distant, quieter. Her laughter lacked warmth. At dinner, she dodged my eyes. Physical closeness faded. When I reached for her, she'd pause for a heartbeat, then shift away gently. "I'm just drained," she'd murmur. "The pregnancy hormones are intense." I nodded, tried to trust. But every time she said she was just tired, something inside me twisted. And then the message came. I was fixing a light fixture in the hallway when my phone buzzed. It was Logan, an old friend I hadn't heard from in years. "Dude, I don't even know what to say. I saw the video. Are you all right?" My heart sank. I stared at the message, reading it twice, trying to make sense of it. Video? What video? I fired off a reply. Silence. It said read, but nothing came. I called him. He picked up, his voice low, hesitant. Ryan, I didn't realize you hadn't seen it. I'm really sorry, man. Just send it, I said. And my world collapsed. It was a 47-second phone clip. Unsteady but clear enough. A rooftop bar, loud music, women laughing and screaming, and there, Lauren, my pregnant wife, wearing a tight red dress I didn't recognize, sitting on the lap of a shirtless guy in a cowboy hat. His hands on her lips on his neck, grinding, clearly intoxicated. I watched it over and over, searching for any explanation. A joke? A skit? But no, it was real. And somehow, worse than I'd imagined. The clip had gone viral, shared by a page called Modern Women Exposed. No blurring, her face fully visible. More than 320,000 views, thousands of comments, strangers laughing, sneering, mocking. This is why you never wife a party girl, they wrote. I just sat there, alone, in our living room, watching strangers tear apart my life like it was entertainment. I didn't cry. I couldn't sleep. I just replayed it, again and again, until morning. The next day I didn't move. No food, no routine, just silence. Lauren wandered into the kitchen in her robe, rubbing her eyes like it was any other day, humming, asking if we had cinnamon toast. Her voice sounded normal, like she wasn't the woman in that video. She sat down at the table and I slid my phone to her. Watch this, I said, my voice steady and cold. At first confusion, then recognition, then her face fell apart. Panic. Her hands began to shake. She met my eyes, tears brimming. It's not what it looks like, she stammered. Ryan, I swear, he was just the bartender. It was a stupid party game. I didn't even finish a drink. I didn't sleep with him. Nothing else happened. Please believe me. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything, though every nerve in my body begged to. I looked at her. You gave me your word. You said no drinking. You said you'd protect our baby. Do you even remember what you did? She had no answer. She looked away. It was one mistake, she whispered. No, I said, my voice like stone. This wasn't some simple mistake, Lauren. You chose this. It wasn't a secret. It was recorded, uploaded, circulated. People have seen it. People I grew up with, professional contacts, potential clients. I'm a contractor trying to build credibility, and now I'm known as the guy whose wife went viral for partying like a teenager. She broke down into sobs, trembling. I didn't think it would end up online. I didn't realize. Did you even think at all? I snapped, not letting her finish. You're pregnant. And instead of safeguarding that life, you were off chasing the chaos with your sister and her train wreck friends. Do you have any idea what kind of humiliation you've dragged me through? What if something had happened to the baby? What kind of mother downs shots on a rooftop, makes out with a stranger, and then comes home acting like it's no big deal? She collapsed beside me, grasping at my hand, her voice pleading. Ryan, I promise. I didn't sleep with anyone. I was drunk. I lost control. It spiraled. I didn't want to hurt you. I stared down at her, this woman I once loved so fiercely it hurt, and felt nothing. Just a cold, empty pit inside. That night I didn't share our bed. I grabbed a blanket and took the couch. I told myself I needed space, but space didn't help. That video played on a loop in my head. Her muffled sobs through the walls were a soundtrack to everything that had shattered. Our life unraveled quickly. I stopped texting her during the day. Meals were eaten in silence. The baby was no longer a topic we mentioned. I moved out of the bedroom completely, and then came the tipping point. 2 days later, I received an anonymous email. No subject line, just one sentence. Check her Instagram DMs. You deserve the truth. Normally, I'd never snoop, but at that point, she felt like a stranger living under my roof. That night, while she was asleep, I unlocked her iPad and opened the app. What I found gutted me. Messages from someone saved as Maverick Cocktail. Last started the day after she returned. You look stunning in that dress Sunday. Hope you got home all right. You should have stayed longer. My offer still stands. She had replied, "You're trouble, LOL. Don't tempt me. You were fun. A great escape. Can't believe I did that." But I needed it. I took screenshots, my fingers locked around the device like it was a weapon. My stomach turned. This wasn't just a drunken night. It was a continued betrayal, a connection that didn't end in one bad decision. It carried on. I didn't confront her, not right away. I wanted to see just how deep the rot went. So I played my part. During the day, I pretended to soften. I started cooking again. I asked about her work, let her believe we were finding our way back. She relaxed, laughed. She thought I was healing. In truth, I was gathering ammunition. I archived every message, met with an attorney, transferred funds from our shared accounts, put the house into a trust, under my name alone. I dug deep, pulled bank statements, tracked her location history from that night in Scottsdale, pulled Uber receipts, hotel Wi-Fi logs, even unearthed photos she hadn't posted. One evening, while we were watching TV, she touched my arm and said softly, "Can we try again? I miss us." I looked her in the eye. "Try again?" "Lauren, I never stopped trying. You stopped telling the truth." She blinked, confused and panicked. "Ryan, I read the messages," I said. "All of them. I know about Maverick. I know what you called him. Your distraction." "Oh, God. You were drunk? Still drunk when you messaged him the next morning? When you flirted for days afterward?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "This wasn't one bad night. You nurtured something with him, and I'm done pretending I don't see you for who you really are." That night, I gave her the preliminary divorce papers. She lost control, screamed, threw things, begged, blamed it on a breakdown, on the pregnancy, her sister, stress. But nothing she said could undo what had been done. Because the true fallout hadn't even started. She didn't know I had that video saved. She had no idea I was planning to send it to every client she worked with. Her business, interior design for affluent, ultra-image conscious women, was built on polished aesthetics and lifestyle branding, not scandal. The contracts started vanishing, one by one, slowly, then all at once. She couldn't make sense of it. She sat at her laptop, blinking at the screen. "They backed out," she said quietly. 3 months of work, gone." I said nothing. The next day, another one dropped her. Then another. I knew exactly why. I had sent a detailed anonymous file to each client. Screenshots, timelines, the video, commentary from the viral post. No rage, just evidence. Cold, factual, damning. The career she had spent years building crumbled in under a week. She blamed everyone, her sister, her old college friends, even an ex-assistant. But she never once suspected me, because she still thought I was too good to retaliate. She never really knew me. While she unraveled, I quietly began to recover. I moved out, temporarily staying with my brother. I only returned to the house when necessary, to pick up mail, clothes, or sign documents. She'd be there, eyes red, trying to act like we could still fix it. "Ryan, can we just talk? Number you said enough, remember?" I blocked her number, stopped taking her calls. From that point on, everything went through lawyers, but I still kept tabs. Her Instagram turned quiet. Her LinkedIn disappeared. Her work email sent out an auto-reply on personal leave. No one else knew the full story, but I did. And that truth, undeniable and clear, was more satisfying than revenge could ever be. Then something unexpected happened. One morning, a message came from an unknown number. "Ryan, please, I need to talk. It's about the baby." It was Lauren. I ignored it for hours. But eventually, curiosity took over. I called back. My voice was cold. "What do you want?" She was already crying. "I lost the baby," she said softly. 8 weeks. The doctor thinks it might have been the stress. Maybe it happened that weekend, though now I can't say for sure. I bled for days, brushing it off as insignificant, just another bout of spotting. But then something in me went cold. This wasn't what I had prepared for. I had been ready to face her, to drag her deception into the daylight, to dismantle the image she clung to. But I never planned for this, to lose the baby, our baby. I said nothing. "Ryan, I didn't know how to tell you," she sobbed, her voice cracking. I kept praying it would stop, that this was just another scare. I almost picked up the phone to call you. Almost. But in my gut, I knew things would change forever if I did. And she was right. I hung up without a word. That night, I drove to the lake, left the headlights on, and stared at the calm, dark surface for hours. Grief didn't crash in. It crept, like fog curling through silent woods. Slow, dense, suffocating. And it wasn't only about the baby. It was about losing the idea that love, once real, could endure anything. I mourned the version of her that stood beaming in our kitchen, pregnancy test in hand, filled with hope. I grieved for the life that never got its chance. That was the moment I chose to let it all unravel. The house? I sold it. There was enough value built up. We split it evenly. Same with the savings. The rest, photos, furniture, tokens of what once was, I didn't see the point in clinging to them. When we met to sign the final documents, she made one last plea. As I finished the last signature, she whispered, "I never stopped loving you." I didn't look back. "I believe that," I said. "But love without truth is just noise." Then I left. 3 months later, I bought a small cabin near the Smokies. I rebuilt it piece by piece, each board and nail a quiet declaration of survival. No amount of therapy could reach the hollow that pain had carved out. But solitude could. I started hiking early mornings, learned how to fish, took up restoring old furniture. For the first time in years, I let the sorrow just be. I stopped masking it with constant motion. And as for Lauren, I lost track of her. Someone mentioned she'd moved to Atlanta, working freelance from a shared space, barely getting by. Her name still pops up when I scroll through old contacts. Sometimes I linger on it, but I never press call. She chose her direction. I chose mine. I chose quiet. And in that silence, after everything had broken, I found something that felt like justice. Half a year slipped past, and in that stillness, I rediscovered something I thought I'd lost for good: peace. Mornings began with black coffee and golden light filtering through pine branches. No unreadable texts, no emotional guessing games, no wondering which version of her I'd find waiting. Out there, I didn't just rebuild walls. I rebuilt a self. The pain didn't vanish, but in the quiet, I found breath again. There was healing in smoothing rough wood, in restoring instead of discarding. This peace didn't come from forgiving her. It came from understanding. I didn't rush into new love or temporary distractions. I sat with the ache, let it speak. And by doing that, I no longer needed revenge to feel whole. But just as I was starting to feel steady again, she reached out. It was early fall. The trees were catching fire in red and amber. I was loading lumber into the truck when her name flashed on my screen. Lauren Miller. I stared at it, let it ring, then a voicemail. I didn't want to hear it, but I did. Her voice was small, uncertain. "Ryan, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called. I needed to hear your voice. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I'm getting help now. Real help. Therapy. AA. I'm not asking for anything. I know it's too late. I just wanted you to know. I'm trying. Not for you. For me. I hope you're doing okay." I stood there a long time after. No anger, no heartbreak, just stillness. I didn't call her back. And that was when I realized she no longer held any part of me. But life wasn't done with me yet. 2 weeks later, I went to a local fall market. I was browsing through reclaimed wood, chatting with some folks, laughing about nothing, when I saw her. She looked different. Thinner, paler. Her posture curled inward like something trying to hide. She was at a booth, lost in thought, staring at jars of honey. She hadn't noticed me. I could have disappeared, slipped behind a tent and avoided it all. But something inside, maybe closure, nudged me forward. She turned slowly. Our eyes met. Her breath caught. Ryan. Lauren. She opened her mouth, and a storm of feelings passed across her face. Shock, regret, maybe a flicker of hope. I didn't think I'd see you here, she said quietly. I live nearby now. We stood in that fragile silence. She glanced down. I thought about calling again, but I figured I'd burned that bridge. I gave a slight nod. She exhaled. I know I can't undo what happened, but I want you to know, I've changed. I was lost back then. Drinking numbed the fear. The attention made me feel alive. But it came at a cost. I hurt you, the only person who never deserved it. Her voice trembled. I lost everything, my career, my reputation, my baby, you. She looked up, eyes glossy with tears. But losing you, that's the one I carry every day. I took a deep breath and let my gaze drift to the street beyond. I don't hate you, Lauren. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. But I don't know who you are anymore, and that's okay. She swallowed and gave a slow nod. Take care of yourself, I said softly. Then I turned and walked away. Not to punish her, not to belittle her, but because I had finally let her go. I drove back to my cabin, lit a fire, and watched the stars appear over the mountains. She had been one chapter, not the whole story. That winter, I began to truly live again. I ran small carpentry workshops for veterans. I volunteered at a youth shelter twice a month. I even joined a hiking group. And without meaning to, I met someone new. Her name was Madeline. She wasn't like Lauren. No games, no flashing charm. She wasn't trying to be seen. She simply was. Thoughtful, calm, attentive. She asked questions that mattered. Waited for the answers. Met people with presence. There was no whirlwind romance. No cinematic sparks. Just steady warmth. Honest companionship. Bit by bit, we shared mornings over coffee, walks through the woods, dinners on the porch. I told her everything. Nothing held back. She didn't flinch, didn't pity. She only said, "You made it through what would have broken most." With her, I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to heal to be lovable. I just had to be. And that was the most unexpected healing of all. Spring came. The ice melted. Trees reached upward in green. And I, too, began again. Madeline and I didn't rush it. No grand declarations. Just a quiet, steady unfolding. We refurbished tables, cooked simple meals, planted herbs beside the porch. She reminded me that peace isn't earned. It's chosen, practiced, lived. Not too long ago, while we wandered along the lake's edge, she glanced over and asked, "If you had the opportunity to undo everything, to wipe away all the hurt, would you do it?" I hesitated, letting the flood of memories rise. The betrayal, the child we lost, the distance that grew between us, the guilt that followed. And then I said, no. Because without walking through that sorrow, I would never have discovered what peace truly feels like. She smiled softly, her hand tightening around mine, and we continued on in silence. It had been ages since Lauren last crossed my mind. But that night I found a letter waiting in my mailbox. It was from her, one plain sheet of paper. It said, "I see it clearly now. You didn't break me. You forced me to face my reflection. Leaving was your gift. It freed us both." I folded the letter with care. No tears came. I didn't reach for my phone. I simply held the page over the flames and let it burn until it was nothing but ash. That's all the past becomes. A whisper of smoke, the quiet drift of dust. And just like that, the story came to its close. I'd be honored to know how this story spoke to you. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for spending this time with me, and if this story touched you, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. Until we meet again, take care.